Hello, everyone. Welcome to one more episode of the Athletic School Podcast. My name is Igor, and it's a pleasure to be with you guys one more time and to share a little bit of my thoughts with you. So, this episode, there's no such a thing as a topic specific. Uh, the only reason I wanted to share some of my thoughts with you guys is just reflections that I have had these past few months, and I think some of you can benefit from that. And I would also love to hear what you guys have to say about some of my thoughts, some of my ideas, some of the reflections and conclusions I came up with. But for you guys to understand uh, these meditations, these reflections, I need to tell you guys a little bit more about myself, a little bit of what's going on in my life, so you guys can relate, and then we can deep into a deeper conversation. So as some of you guys know, some of you guys might not know that. So I'm from Brazil, and I came to the US to play soccer and to study. I mean, the first idea for me, yeah, it's pretty funny because I came to a community college, and in my head I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna play, and I'm gonna transfer, I'm gonna get to a D1, I'm gonna get drafted for the MLS, and I mean, I didn't even get close to any of that. Um, and it's not that I think it's okay, but I don't think I would become the person that I am nowadays if it wasn't for everything I went through throughout the process. These 6 years that I've been here in the US. I don't think the podcast would be a thing nowadays if everything went the way that I was planning, right? And I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think life goes as we plan at all, right? There's always something there. There's always obstacles, and I think it is about how good can we deal with the stress, the anxiety, and honestly, I think that's gonna be the main thing for me today to talk to you guys about. It is the stress and the anxiety. Um, so I've been in the US for a while now, and I graduated. I have 2 degrees, all of that. Played soccer, had some success, like personally, in soccer, not as I planned. But yeah, and then I am at the point of my life right now that I just finished school, and then I'm waiting on an extension of my visa. So my visa is gonna change its status, and then I can stay here for one more year and work. Um, but that's tricky, I've already moved. Uh, there is a bunch of stuff going on at the same time. I'm not allowed to work because I don't have that authorization. The status haven't changed yet. So I'm waiting on that. And honestly, that's just one little thing it, in this journey of being in the US. Since I came here, and some of you guys can probably relate, it is a very stressful and uncertain life when you get here. I think as international students, we all have different experiences. If you have more money, that's gonna make a huge difference. If you don't, you're gonna have to work a little harder than the usual. And when it comes to an American, that also changes everything. But with that being said, the amount of stress and anxiety sometimes that I faced helped me be who I am today, which I'm very happy with the person that I've been trying to become, and the way that I'm handling this situation. I'm not freaking out. Of course, I worry, Of course, if I sit down and just think about everything that can go wrong, trust me, I'll freak out. There's no, I can't lie on that one. But I think I've been handling the stress and the uncertainty in a much better way than I have handled some of the stress and some of the things that I went through since I started my journey here. And and I think the main thing for me is I think we have to talk about stress. Um, Shout out to Wayne Mullins, the founder of Ugly Mug Marketing, where I had the chance to do my internship when I was in Louisiana. And he was talking about how stress is not necessarily a bad thing, right? Stress, it's a good thing. It's something that help us grow in a way. So when you think about going to the gym and you want to create muscles, right? You have to put stress uh, to your muscles so your muscle can grow. And it's the same thing when we talk about ourselves, our personality, who we are. Um, of course, there's this stress that, like, I don't know, maybe your coach is abusive to you, or you have a girlfriend and a boyfriend, and if they bring stress to you, of course, that's not a good thing. That's not the type of stress that we're talking about, and that's not the stress um, that brings any benefit to you, right? But when your coach tells you, like, look, figure out how to make this best, that's on you. It is a stress, it is a pressure that you have, but it will help you grow. It will make you grow, right? At the end of the day, that's what it really matters. And I think that's when it becomes fulfilling. So Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, he talks about the difference between cheerfulness and joy. So he talks about joy being something that you live a virtuous life, or like overcoming obstacles. That's joy, right? That's when you overcome an obstacle, when you feel like you're handling uh, a stressful situation much better. You're not freaking out about things. You can bring some reasoning uh, into situations in your life, and you can cope in a much better way. That's joy. When you buy a new car, that's just being cheerful towards that, right? Yeah, it's cool, but it's very different than real joy. Real joy comes from you living a virtuous life, a life with purpose, where you grow as a person, not as someone that just buy more stuff, or that that you are attached to things. So I think, and it's pretty funny because I read that on the Daily Stoic not too long ago, when I was kind of preparing myself for the podcast, and then that quote came up, and it just makes a lot of sense, right? It makes me happy that I've been able to deal with the stress in a much better way. And when I look behind, which I recommend you guys doing as well, it's look 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and look where you were, and look where you are right now. You're probably not where you wanted to be, and that's okay. But look at how much you have grown. Look at the little things that you have achieved throughout the process, and be happy about those things. Um, and the other thing for me that's very big, it's a stoic point of view, that they talk about the view from above. Right? So imagine you are a bird and you're just flying in the sky, right? And you looking everything down below, and you see, this guy, I don't know, he's from Brazil, and he's playing soccer in the US. Of course, he has his problems and everything. He's anxious, he's stressed about his visa, and that's okay. But on the other side, you have a dad that is trying to bring food home, but he doesn't have a job. He doesn't know what to do to put food in the table for his family. Or you can go even a little further and go to Africa, where people don't wear, like, not people, some kids are not even wearing shoes because they don't even know what that is, right? They don't have a phone. and and it brings me to the fact that we're very, very fortunate, right? So the other day I was watching Imangati, a story, and he was talking about that, the small victories, and kind of zooming out a little bit. and and that's something that I've been trying to write down in my journal, which I also recommend you guys doing it. But looking at things from a different point of view and realizing how fortunate you are, even though I'm having all these issues, all this stress. um, a lot of people want to come to the US from other countries and study and play something, but they can't. They simply can't. Sometimes they don't get a visa, they don't have the first investment to do. English can be a barrier, all those things. So I think if we remember how fortunate we are, um, it helps us a lot in terms of overcoming these stressful moments that we go through in life. Um, and another thing for me is, I think in sports we compare ourselves with each other, and I said many times here, I don't think that's a bad thing. But I think before athletes, we are human beings, and we have to take care of the human part of ourselves first before we take care of the athlete. Um, I do think that they are very, very connected, and it's a very thin line when it comes to, where do you draw the line between being an athlete and being a human being? Like, yeah, sport, it is your life. If you are there for performance, yes, sport, it is your life. But I do want you guys to think about the comparison thing, right? I think in sports, if you want to compare yourself to the guy next to you so you can get better, I think that's a must. You have to do that, right? But when it comes to the human side of it, when it comes to all the all the stress, and the only thing you can see is the problems in your life, not necessarily in sports, but like maybe, yeah, your coach doesn't like you, your team doesn't talk to you. You can play good enough, and then in a lot of cases for us college athletes, you have to go find a job because you also have to pay for a few bills here and there. But at the end of the day, we are very, very fortunate. You have to remember that if you are listening to a podcast right now, um, you are very fortunate. Right here in the US, everyone has an iPhone. Everyone can have access to Spotify, to YouTube, and all of that. But at the end of the day, like, we have to remember that this world is very, very big, um, and we have to think outside the box a little bit. And I think seeing things from that point of view, where, look, I'm healthy, right? My family's healthy. I'm able to even go to training. There's people in hospitals beds here in the US that they can do half of what I'm doing right now. And then if you go a little further, you go to other countries where poverty is a thing. Um, you can see how fortunate you are just for being here. And I think when you see things from that point of view, it is much, much easier for you to overcome those stressful moments. Yes, the problem is still there. You're still going to worry about it, right? But it's not about deleting the negative thoughts of our minds. It is learning how to deal with them, how to live with them, right? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, we always have a choice. We can either, think positive or think negative. Actually, I would rephrase that. I think the positive and the negative thoughts, they are always going to be there, always, no matter what. But you can choose and pick which one you want to hold to it, right? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, yes, I'm worrying about bills. I'm worrying about how many people are listening to the podcast and stuff. But at the end of the day, man, like, I'm healthy. I can go run right now. I have food to eat, So I think it's important for us to remember that we are human beings before we are athletes. And I think that's just a good way to make you get up and like, wait a second, I'm very, very fortunate. Um, Let me enjoy this process a little bit more, um, and and just be myself. I think that it's very tricky. It's complicated. I'm not perfect. I hold on to negative thoughts all the time. I worry about everything all the time. My mind never stops, and I'm sure some of you guys can relate to that as well. Um, but if we want to get better, if we want to become a better person for ourselves, for the people that we love, people around us, we have to do something about it. Um, in another little insight that I have that helped me with all of that I just said about being fortunate, I was actually listening to Soulja, the song "Everything Changes," and he's just talk about how hypocrite we can be, right? Because we say that we care about people in other country, because how poor they are and how difficult it is. Oh, it must be so sad, but we don't do anything about it, right? So I think it's not like I'm doing anything about it, but I think the best thing we can do is, okay, how can I be better? How can I improve myself? And then how can I help others? Right? Because trust me, share your thoughts, share your ideas, because there's people out there that can relate to you, and they can benefit from that, because we're not alone, right? Everyone's a little crazy. Everyone has something going on. And I think it's very, very important that we talk about those things. Um, Personally, I don't feel like it. I don't really enjoy talking about myself, about problems or anything like that. But I think sharing some of these insights as a reminder that, look, we are fortunate. Stress is not necessarily a bad thing. Comparison is not a bad thing, but you have to learn on how to deal with those things. And like Seneca said, um, we have to look for the real joy, right? Living a life where we are overcoming obstacles, that we are becoming a better version of ourselves, not necessarily just, oh yeah, I got the iPhone 15 now, so I feel better now. Like, what are you doing? Why that's something that you are aiming for? And I don't think wanting money it's a bad thing at all. But I don't think that we should attach ourselves to those things. Um, I would love to know what you guys think about all of that. I would love to know what you guys are going through and how you deal with the stress, the anxiety in your life. Um, do you tend to think positive, or you just go with the flow? You just try to do something about it, get out of the house, and talk to a friend? What are some of the things that you are doing in order to overcome the obstacles and the stress that goes inside your head? So please subscribe to the Athletic School on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. You can follow myself, Igor Acorinci, on my personal profile as well. And I would love to connect and hear what you guys have to say. Um, Stay strong. That's it for today. I hope at least someone out there can relate and can do some of the things that I've been doing it. Um, if this just inspire you in a way to read a book, to journal, to meditate, any of that, I'll be happy. And remember, meditation is very good, and you don't have to sit down like Buddha or Gandhi or whatever, um, and sit down for 30 seconds. Literally, just put your phone away, sit down with your thoughts, um, and learn about yourself. You probably have all the answers you need. You just have to ask the right questions.